The late 1990s Los Angeles Lakers looked on paper like a juggernaut built in a basketball laboratory. They had 4 All-Stars in Shaquille O'Neal, Kobe Bryant, Eddie Jones, and Nick Van Exel. They were young, deep, and talented enough to make any coach drool. Add in role players like Rick Fox and Robert Horry, and the roster screamed future dynasty. But as every long-suffering Lakers fan knows, basketball isn't played on paper. This squad had everything except the stuff you can't measure in a box score: maturity, chemistry, and leadership. What unfolded was a wild ride of highlight dunks, locker room drama, and eventually one of the most anticlimactic playoff exits in franchise history. This is the story of how a team too talented to fail managed to fail spectacularly. The arrival of Shaq and the rise of the young guns. In 1996, the Lakers pulled off the biggest free agent coup of the decade by signing Shaquille O'Neal, the NBA's most dominant young big man. The move was supposed to set the stage for an era of purple and gold dominance. There was just one problem. Shaq didn't make it through the year unscathed. He missed 31 games with a knee injury. For most teams, that would mean hitting the lottery and crying about it. For the Lakers, it meant opportunity. Enter the supporting cast. Eddie Jones and Nick Van Exel ran the offense with flair, while rookies Kobe Bryant and Derek Fisher flashed hints of their future stardom. By the trade deadline, they even added Robert Horry from Phoenix, a move that would pay dividends in future championship runs. Even without their superstar center for a third of the season, the Lakers won 56 games. But the playoffs brought a cold dose of reality. Facing the Utah Jazz, the Lakers were bounced in 5 games. The defining image: an 18-year-old Kobe Bryant airballing 4 straight shots in crunch time. Painful? Absolutely. Character building? Even more so. That failure would light a fire under Kobe for the rest of his career. A new season, lofty expectations. The Lakers weren't satisfied with just Shaq and a promising rookie. In the summer, they doubled down on talent. They signed Rick Fox, a versatile forward with defense, scoring, and a knack for annoying opponents. They also added sharpshooter John Barry. Suddenly, the roster wasn't just good, it was the deepest in the league. The expectations were sky high. As John Barry told author Jeff Pearlman in 3 Ring Circus, there were championship expectations and nothing less. I hadn't been on a team with that level of buzz. I felt like the pieces were in place. Fans were giddy, analysts were buzzing, and Kobe was preparing to make sure Salt Lake City never happened again. He came back 10 pounds heavier and pure muscle, determined to bulldoze his way into the spotlight. Shaq, on the other hand, started the year on brand, hurt, and then slapping Greg Ostertag in the face before the season opener. You can't make this stuff up. Still, the Lakers stormed out of the gates. Even when Shaq missed 20 games, they proved how stacked they were. 6 different players averaged double figures, and they went 13-7 without him, averaging a ridiculous 112.6 points per game. When Shaq did play, forget it. He dropped 50 points on the Nets while shooting 69% and later torched Dallas for 43 points on 18 for 22 shooting in just 32 minutes. The Diesel was unfair, with weapons like Van Exel dishing out double-doubles, Eddie Jones erupting for 35 on absurd efficiency, and Kobe dropping 30 off the bench. This team was terrifying. The signature moment of the season, a 25-point beatdown of Michael Jordan's Bulls, the defending champs. Shaq, Kobe, Jones, and Fox all scored over 20 points. It was marketed as Jordan versus the next Jordan, and for one night the hype was real. Cracks in the armor, the Eddie Jones dilemma, trade rumors swirled around Eddie Jones. Would he be swapped for Mitch Richmond? Glenn Rice. Even Scottie Pippen asked to be traded to LA at one point. Fans loved Jones, but Kobe was gunning for his spot. Literally. Rick Fox recalled Kobe showing up to training camp like a man possessed, making it clear he intended to push Eddie out the door. Jones was still an all-star, but he could feel the kid breathing down his neck. And when Kobe, still technically a bench player, got voted into the All-Star game as a starter? Yeah, that didn't exactly calm things down. The Del Harris problem. Then there was the coach, Del Harris. He was respected around the league, but his players weren't buying in. Van Exel openly disliked him. Shaq admitted the locker room didn't respect him. Even Kobe, still technically a teenager, grew frustrated with Harris's refusal to start him. And Shaq himself wasn't blameless. He publicly criticized teammates like Fox and Eldon Campbell. The locker room dynamic was, let's call it, complicated. A tale of 2 playoffs. Despite the dysfunction, the Lakers cruised through the first 2 playoff rounds, losing only twice. Their dismantling of Seattle in the semifinals was particularly impressive. They averaged nearly 17 points per win, and Sonics coach George Karl admitted, "Shaq is the best basketball player in the NBA right now. Michael Jordan might be prettier, but Shaq's the toughest guy to game plan for." Shaq averaged 30.6 points on 63% shooting, plus nearly 10 rebounds and 4 blocks a game. He was an unstoppable force. Then came Utah. In Game 1, the Lakers lost by 35 points while shooting a miserable 29.5%. Robert Horry summed it up best: "We had no heart, no brains, and no courage." In Game 2, they collapsed in the fourth quarter. Game 3, Shaq battled alone while Jones and Van Exel combined to shoot 8 for 32. Kobe was solid, but stuck in limited minutes. Down 3-0, the writing was on the wall. And then came the infamous moment. Uno, dos, tres. Cancun. After a practice, as the team huddled up, Nick Van Exel allegedly shouted, "Uno, dos, tres, Cancun." Not exactly the rallying cry of champions. Shaq was livid, storming into Jerry West's office and declaring Nick was done. Van Exel later claimed it was just a joke, but it landed with all the grace of a Shaq free throw. After the sweep, Van Exel doubled down, saying, "Being swept or losing 4-3, there's not much difference. You just lose vacation time. Cancun really was on his mind." The Jazz executed the pick and roll to perfection, while the Lakers looked lost and predictable. They had talent, but no poise, no chemistry, and no idea how to close out games. The sweep was so shocking that analysts still call it one of the most embarrassing exits ever for such a loaded roster. Aftermath, the breakup. Shaq had had enough. He told reporters that if guys didn't want to play, they needed to get off his team. The Lakers front office agreed. That summer, they shipped out both Van Exel and Eddie Jones, 2 all-stars for steadier pieces. The message was clear: raw talent wasn't enough. The team needed discipline, maturity, and leadership. That final ingredient would arrive soon in the form of Phil Jackson, who turned chaos into 3 straight championships. But before the glory came, the humbling lesson: even the most talented team can collapse without unity. Why did they fail? The stacked Lakers squad failed because they were too young and inexperienced, with Kobe still a teenager and the team lacking veterans who knew how to grind out wins. Chemistry was a constant issue. Kobe clashed with Eddie Jones, Shaq with the coach, and Nick Van Exel seemed more focused on Cancun than the court. Del Harris struggled to command respect in a locker room full of egos, creating a coaching disconnect. When the playoffs came, their flaws were exposed by the seasoned and disciplined Utah Jazz, who capitalized on the Lakers' defensive shortcomings. The talent was undeniable, but as history proves, championships are built on chemistry, leadership, and discipline, not just raw ability. A painful but necessary lesson. Looking back, the pre-dynasty Lakers of the late 90s feel like the ultimate what-if team. What if Eddie Jones had stayed? What if Nick Van Exel had taken things more seriously? What if Shaq hadn't gone full WWE backstage with Greg Ostertag? But in hindsight, the chaos was necessary. The Lakers had to learn the hard way that talent alone doesn't cut it. By breaking up that roster, they laid the groundwork for the Shaq, Kobe, Phil dynasty that defined the 2000s. It's a reminder to every NBA fan: talent wins games, but maturity, chemistry, and leadership win championships. And hey, if nothing else, at least Cancun got a shout out in NBA history. And that's the story of the most talented Lakers team of the 90s that couldn't quite figure it out. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Lakers history, make sure to hit that like and subscribe to the channel. Drop a comment below. Do you think this team could have beaten Jordan's Bulls if they'd held it together? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.